Hello everyone, welcome to another vlog. I'm sorry if I'm being a little quiet. The kids are sleeping and I don't want to wake them up. I'm just getting ready to go to book club right now. We're gonna meet at this really cool cafe in Songdo. It's like right by the ocean, I think. So they have like a really beautiful view. I'm super excited to go. I was tempted not to go because it's a little far away from me, but the pictures just look so beautiful. I have to try this cafe. This month we read the book Saint X. I was not a fan. I am very sorry to the author, but I did not enjoy that book. I found it very boring. I felt like she was trying to be too descriptive in parts that didn't really need it. So I would read and then like 10 pages later, I'd still be reading the same description of something. And that just kept me really bored, I think. I also tried to listen to the audiobook because I thought maybe I would like the audiobook more if I wasn't enjoying reading it. But I had the same problem with the audiobook. I would be listening to a description of an interview that happened in the story or something like that. And then I would kind of zone out, and like 10 minutes later, I'd zone back in and it would still be the same interview. Or they'd still be describing the same thing that was happening, and usually it had nothing to really add to the story. So I found myself always zoning out a lot or almost falling asleep while reading the actual book. And it just did not keep me interested. So I'm not sure I'm going to have a lot to add to this book club meeting. I forced myself to read about 50% of the book. I think I went a little over 50%, but I had to really force myself to get that far. And then a little bit after the 50% mark, I kind of gave up and just skimmed the rest of it so that I knew what would happen in the end. And the end was not really worth it, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I didn't really enjoy it. I know other people did. I think other people in my book club were talking about how much they liked it, but it just was not for me. Anyway, I'm gonna leave soon to go to this meeting. While I'm on the train, I'm gonna try to finish the second book in the P.S. I Love You series. I think I'm almost done with it. Yeah, so we'll see if I can finish this on the train. Alright guys, I am back with a little bit of an update for you. I'm going to try not to get too confused. I was doing too much at the same time. I was recording a video for my other channel and then like 2 videos for this channel, all while trying to read a couple books at the same time, like just doing too much at once. So now I'm getting confused with what books I have been starting and what books I just finished and what I talked about with you the last time. I don't know what I'm doing. Focus, Crystal. Focus. I gotta be like more disciplined with these videos. I gotta figure things out. But anyway, I think the last time I talked to you, I said I was reading P.S. I Still Love You, the second book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series. But I just finished that. So I thought I'd talk about it really fast. I don't know, maybe another 3 out of 5 star. I don't hate it. I still enjoy reading these books. But like I said the last time, I think I'm just connecting them to the movies too much and to the characters that I fell in love with in the movies. Like this is the one where she's with Peter. They're still having some issues from like the first one, you know, issues with him and his ex. But then in this one, John Ambrose McLaren, I think that's his name, he comes into the picture. He was Peter's friend when they were younger. He is another person that got one of her love letters. And one thing that's kind of different from the movies is that she kind of just mentions that she had written him a letter before. But in the book, in like the first one, I think it was, or maybe it was in the beginning of this second one, but she talks about him a lot more, and it's very obvious that she probably liked him the most. I mean, she's like really into him when she's writing this letter to him, and she's still really so curious about him. I mean, it could be that, you know, she's around these other people more, like Peter and Josh. She already kind of knew how they turned out, so she doesn't have to be super curious about them. But with John Ambrose, she's like, I need to see this man. I need to see him. So I cannot remember if it's like in the first one or in the very beginning of this one where she has to go see him. She has to go see his face and see how he turned out. But she does, and she just gets these huge butterflies. It's like everything comes rushing back. It's super obvious that right away she's like, yeah, this guy makes my heart race a little bit. So anyway, he comes back into the picture, partly because she wrote him this letter. So they're kind of writing letters back and forth. They kind of become pen pals, and she's really excited about that, really happy about it. But also, they had buried a time capsule before. Her friend Chris, Peter, his ex Gwen, and John Ambrose, and then a couple other people. I can't remember who. But anyway, she has this kind of like party so that they can open up the time capsule and everybody can see what they put inside. So she's also talking to him for that reason, because he needs to be there so he can take out whatever it is that he put in the time capsule. But again, it's just, I don't know. In like the movie, John Ambrose McLaren was kind of like this, again, side character. He comes into the picture. You're kind of like, okay, you're cute, you're nice, but yeah, still Peter 100%. I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. But then in the book, you're kind of like, I don't know, Peter, you kind of suck. Like, he's still kind of a jerk. He still is with Gwen like 98% of the time. Still always about his ex. He is still always having problems with Laura Jean, and she is always having to just be like, okay, fine, I'll get over it. Like, okay, fine, let's move on. And it's never feels like he's giving like a really nice, good apology. It never feels like he's doing anything good for her. It always feels like he's messing up. He's being a jerk. He's making all these mistakes, and then he's kind of just waiting for her to be like, fine, whatever, like, let's move on. I still want you as my boyfriend. And that sucks. Like, I was getting really mad at that, especially like after like the third or fourth time you see them fighting and you see her having to kind of fix things, or him just being like, okay, whatever, are you over it now? Like, every time I was like, Peter, what are you doing? Just say you're sorry or move on, like, in a good way. Like, this is not healthy. You have a horrible relationship. But then John Ambrose comes in and he's like 100% for her. So sweet to her. So nice to her. Remembers so many things about her that Peter probably doesn't even know, even though they've been dating. And the whole time you're like, he's the one. Like, you just pick him. Just get away from all of these people that are bringing you down and be with the nice guy. Just go be with him. So that was a bit different, that you're almost kind of like rooting for a different character that you barely know, because Peter was kind of a jerk the whole time. And again, you see like glimpses of Josh, and you're still kind of like, wow, yeah, you kind of still a jerk too, but I don't really care about you as much anymore, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, just different feelings, which I get. Obviously, books and movies, they're going to be different. You're going to have different feelings about them. It's just funny that usually you like the books more. and the movies don't show you everything that's happening and it makes you mad or you don't get the same feeling from it. But with this, maybe it's just because I watched the movies first and liked them, but I actually like the movies a lot better. I don't hate the books, but the characters are not doing it for me, especially the characters that I liked so much before, and now I'm like, I don't know what to do about you. You're just making me upset. So, still good. I would still recommend reading all these books, especially if you're like a fan of the movie, but it is a bit different. It does make you a bit more angry at some of them. So, yeah, I don't know. Also, Gwen, so much more evil than she was in the movies. Like, I hate her so much more now, which almost like, I mean, if you're going to hate some of the main characters, like the characters you're supposed to like, I guess they have to make the bad, like sort of bad character to be even more hateable. Is that even a word? I don't know. They have to make her like more evil. But yeah, so it's just, I don't know. It was just weird kind of rooting for a different guy and kind of being like, Peter, what are you doing? What, you have one more book to get better. And I don't know if it's going to happen. Yeah, I feel sorry for Laura Jean. Just, I don't know. I hope your boyfriend gets better. I hope he's not such a jerk later on. He needs to grow up. Anyway, so I finished that. I told you before I finished Saint X. That's the book where, that's the book we were discussing for book club. Did not like that one. I already told you. I don't know, just felt like she was way too descriptive in parts that didn't need it. So I was getting incredibly bored. Did not enjoy that one. Kept kind of zoning out, not really wanting to pay attention to it. So that one, I don't know, don't really recommend. But that one, I think they turned into a TV show on Hulu, and I have heard some good reviews from people. So maybe watch the show. I don't know. I haven't watched it, but also, while I was at book club, I went to one of the girls' houses and she gave me a bunch of like babysitter club books and also like this old Mary Kate and Ashley book. So I brought them home because I was like, yeah, I don't know, I'll still read them and I'll read them to my kids. I don't know, it'll be fun. But today I've talked my husband Q into going to a bookstore with me. I found an Aladdin bookstore near where we live, so we're gonna go there and hopefully I can find some English books to buy. All right, we are back home. I'm sorry, ignore my sweaty face. It was so hot on our walk back home. Yesterday, it was perfect. It was still a little warm yesterday. It was still like 30 degrees, but the breeze was amazing. It felt like fall. It was awesome. Today, it is not like that. Today, it just went right back up. The temperature is insane, and I am sweating like crazy. I'm sorry. I feel like in probably 90% of my kind of summer vlogs or even beginning of fall vlogs on my other channel, and like all of those videos, I'm constantly like, I'm sorry, I'm so sweaty, guys. Anyway, I thought I would show you what I bought at the store. It was my very first time there. I'm so happy we went. I did find quite a lot of English books. I probably would have bought more, but I was like, this is getting really expensive. Anyway, my son is going to be home from school soon, so I want to update you guys before he gets here. This is the bag that they gave me at the store, and it is adorable. I love this bag. But I bought some bookmarks. These are very cute bookmarks. They're kind of like fairy themed. So that was a win for me. It was only like 3,000 won, so very cheap, like $2. All right, I'm sorry. Actually, my son's bus came early, so I had to stop recording so I could go and get him off the bus. But now I will tell you all of the books that I got. So first of all, I got Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. Silverstein or Silverstein? Silverstein? I used to read this book a lot when I was a kid, so when I saw it there and it's hardcover, I was like, I'm getting this. So yes, this is the first book I got. I'm super excited to read some of these with the kids, and my husband also is interested in reading this. I told you he is Korean. He speaks English with me, but he is always trying to practice and get better at it and practice his reading levels, like reading faster. So having like little poems and things like this is really nice for him to read quickly with me. I also got a few children's books to help Hanyol, my son, learn to read. He is working on his reading right now, and I'm trying to help him learn how to read. So I thought these books would be really helpful. Jojo and Daddy Bake a Cake. Biscuit Loves the Library. I remember I used to read books about Biscuit when I was really little and I was learning how to read. And Biscuit Wants to Play. So these are like my first reading books. And this is like the first kind of level where you read along with your children as they are starting to develop their reading skills. So those will be helpful. There was like hundreds of these kinds of books there, which is really awesome because now when he finishes these, I can go back and buy more. And they were all like 2,000 won, so like less than $2, like $1.50. I don't know. So that's pretty cool. I got The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. I'm really excited about this one. They had two different versions of this book, but I picked this one because I really liked this cover. So I'm excited to read this one. Howl's Moving Castle. I love Howl's Moving Castle. I have read the book and watched the movie. I will say that I do enjoy the movie a lot more than the book, but I still love them both. I have read the book, but I do not own it. So I was so excited when I saw this there. So yes, bought this immediately picked it up. And then I started reading this on the train, which is why it has a bookmark in it already. I got Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom, I think is how you say his name. I'm really sorry if I ever pronounce an author's name wrong. I can be horrible with names, and that is bad. I'm working on it. You should work on pronouncing people's names right, obviously. I know that having children who are mixed and like my son Hanyol has more of a Korean name. My husband obviously has his Korean name. And it can be frustrating if people just don't try to learn your name or they don't pronounce it correctly ever. Even in the US, even if you're with other people with English names, you come across a lot. People will still pronounce other people's name wrong and then just not even care about it. And that's frustrating. So if I ever say someone's name wrong, please in the comments just try to, I guess, spell it out for me how I should say it. I'm very sorry if I ever do that. I'm not meaning to. I'm just saying it quickly and then not really thinking about it, which is bad. This was like the first book I saw in the English section, and I was very excited when I saw it because I just read Finding Chica by the same author. It was lent to me by another girl in book club, and I loved it. Loved it so much. That book is about him, the author, adopting a little girl from an orphanage who is already sick. She has like a brain tumor. He knows that she's very sick. He knows that they're gonna have to take care of her. He knows that she could be dying. They don't exactly know that they're gonna take care of her for a long time or anything. Kind of thinking he's just gonna like help her and take her back to the orphanage. But then things happen and like they end up being together. And I'm not really giving anything away, by the way. This is all kind of in the descriptions you read online. But that one is more of a sad but heartwarming story. I didn't expect it to be sad though while reading it, just because when I know that somebody is sick or dying or going to die, as that's happening while I'm reading, I guess I don't have as big of an emotional reaction to it because I already know it's coming. But I did end up crying like 2 or 3 times while reading that book. It got to me. And the way he wrote it was just very interesting. It held my attention and I read it very quickly. He does mention Morrie once or twice in that book. So I was like, okay, it makes sense that I should probably read this book now. So I'm excited to read Tuesdays with Morrie. I have already read a few pages while I was on the train coming home. You could tell immediately that it's the same author, the same writing style. So I think I'm going to be able to finish this very quickly. And I think I'm going to enjoy this one too. So excited to finish this one. I might finish it today. Who knows? I am also reading our next book club book, which is The September House. I do not remember the author's name right now. I think it's Clarissa Orlando. I will have to double check that though. I am liking that one so far. It's a very good September read. So hopefully I'll be able to finish that one today or tomorrow as well. So I will check back in with you guys later after I have read a bit more of this stuff and cooled off a bit because I am hot. And I will check in with you either tonight or maybe tomorrow morning. Oh, Mitch, you've done it again. This book made me cry a lot at the end. Oh, I'm glad I got this book today, but it definitely made me cry a lot. I'll finish with this one. 10 out of 10. Recommend. But it'll make you cry. Just like his other book, Finding Chica, made me cry. Oh, okay. Now I think I need to go read some more of The September House so I can get another feeling going on. Oh, man. Okay, stop crying. Stop crying. Oh. All right, everyone, just a quick update for you. I kind of forget where I left off with you guys, and it hasn't even been that long. It's been like one day, but I already forgot what books I talked about in this vlog. I probably should have gone back and watched what I recorded before I decided to finish this off, but I think I updated you on pretty much everything except for what I did the past like 2 days. So first of all, I was journaling. I think I showed that just a minute ago in this video. I was updating my journal a bit, so trying to update some of my trackers. I gave up on a few of them. I was tracking how many pages I read every day, or if I listened to an audiobook, like how long I listened to it, but I kept forgetting to fill it in, so I gave up on that one. I also was tracking some habits. I was tracking some habits, and I also kept forgetting about it, so I gave up on it. But I'm still tracking like my mood every day. I do have a weight tracker, but that's kind of like once a month. And then obviously I try to write in my journal. I used to write every single day. Now it's kind of every few days I kind of like update what I've been doing. I also made a fall playlist. So I made one page for September, one page for October. I'm sorry if you can hear my children. They're playing very loudly right now. But the pages just have some movies that I want to watch in each month, some TV shows, some books, just so that I don't really forget anything. I've already watched a couple movies and read a couple books. I think there are a couple books on that list that maybe don't make sense for fall, but it's because those are probably book club books, or I'm reading them like because it's part of a series and I want to finish it or something like that. So for example, at the end of September, I have another book club meeting, which is just for the summer. That book obviously does not sound very fallish, but I have to read that for book club. And before I read that, I want to read the other ones in that series. So those are going to happen in like the middle of September. So not very like fall vibe books, I guess, but gotta read those. What else? So I was reading an arc for a book called The Wolf King's Keeper. This sounded so interesting. It like just sounded so refreshing. It sounded just, I don't know, right up my alley. It's about the Wolf King, like werewolf, wolf shifter, whatever you want to call it. He gets captured and taken to a zoo, and there's like a whole thing where he can't turn back into like a human during this time. So everybody just thinks he's this big wolf, and he ends up in the wolf enclosure exhibit. So that sounds interesting. But then also there's a female zookeeper, and you can kind of guess that, you know, things are happening there. So she can tell he's kind of like different, but she still thinks he's a wolf. And then he also just very much wants to just, you know, shift and be like, surprise, I'm actually like a person. So let's go hang out. Anyway, so that sounded so cool to me. Started reading it. I think I'm over 50% through, because I have this thing about not finishing books or not giving books like a full chance, especially arcs. Like I only recently started to be easy on myself about like DNFing books. And then I very recently started to accept that I don't have to read every arc all the way through. But I still try to do like 50%. So I made it over 50%, but I stopped reading it. And this has nothing to do with the author. It doesn't really have anything to do with the book. Just personally, I guess just wasn't for me. Maybe I'll start reading it again later. I don't know. But like I said, it sounds super interesting. And the beginning was kind of interesting. So I still kind of recommend it. It just, I don't know. There was a few things that I just wasn't really liking at first. And I think they kind of stuck with me. And I know that she probably explains some things later, or some of these things probably fix themselves. I know that, which is why part of me is like, you should have just finished it. But I couldn't. I have so many other books I need to read right now, a bunch of arcs. I have book club books I need to like get on that right now. But I just had to be like, no, put it down, stop reading this. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, for sure, give it a try. Obviously, that story sounds so interesting. I just did not finish that. But then I finished The September House. I do have a book club meeting for that. Tonight, actually, I'm going to that meeting. We had a couple book club meetings very close together, which is strange for us. We don't usually do that. But I did love that book. That was like a 5-star book for me. I never knew where that book was going. Not once. I thought I did multiple times. And there were even times where I thought, like, I'm not going to like this. Like, I started reading it and right away I was like, I should have bought the physical copy, because I only had an ebook version that I had gotten for free, actually. But I was like, I'm gonna love this book. I already love it. And I'm like only on page like 3. So I should have bought the physical copy. But then it was just this roller coaster ride. it was like amazing. This was gonna be a 5-star for sure. And then kind of went down a bit and then back up. And then some things were happening and it went back down because I was like, wow, this story is changing. This is not kind of like the haunted house type feel that I thought it was supposed to be. And then I was very much like, I'm probably not gonna like this book. And then it went back up again and then back down again, where it was like, okay, like, is this the kind of a haunted house type book that I think it is? Or is it this type of book? What is happening? And I kept kind of guessing where the story was going. And usually I'm kind of right with those things, which is why so many books kind of like I lose interest or I just get angry at the end because I'm like, okay, that was so obvious. And that's part of why I haven't read a book like this in a long time, because I usually end up disappointed. So I was getting disappointed, but none of it was true. Like what I was thinking is not what was happening, if you know what I mean. So just roller coaster ride. Every time I thought I had it figured out, that's not what was happening. And then at the end of the book, I was like, wow, yeah, okay. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that roller coaster ride a lot. So yeah, definitely recommend The September House, especially during this season, especially during September, because the whole thing takes place in September. So perfect book. Nice, creepy, spooky vibe. I also have never been creeped out while reading a book, but I did during this book. I did have this little like creeped out moment where I probably would have been a little scared if I was reading it at night actually. So luckily I was reading it in the middle of the day. But yeah, very good book. I'm going to book club right now actually to discuss that book. And I will let you go right now. I think on the train I'm going to start the 3rd book in the To All the Boys I Loved Before series. So I might finish that in the next couple of days. And that is it. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.